everyone, welcome to our channel Link Frequency and I'm Aishwarya Pattar. Today's video is going to be very special because I'm going to discuss about the keyword deep learning. Deep learning has gained a lot of traction over the past few years. Pandemic acted as a catalyst to adapt to deep learning in various business domains. According to recent Google Trend data, if you see the keyword deep learning has been searched so many times by people across the globe. So today, in our course that is Artificial Intelligence for Absolute Beginners, we are going to discuss about the basic concepts of deep learning. Firstly, we will try to understand what exactly the keyword deep learning means. Secondly, we will know the workflow that is involved in deep learning process. Last but not the least, we will try to focus on the merits, demerits and the challenges that we are likely to face by using deep learning approach. So, without any further delay, let's get started and also understand deep learning concept in detail. Alright, I hope my screen is visible which shows deep learning. We will try to cover this deep learning step by step. Initially, we will look into the introduction where what exactly the keyword deep learning is. Then we will look into the global data which shows the scope for deep learning. Then we will move ahead with the workflow along with the algorithms. Lastly, we will talk about the advantages, disadvantages and the challenges that are part of deep learning. So without any further delay, let us move ahead with the introduction. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Deep learning tries to mimic the network of a human brain. That is why it is based on the concept of artificial neural network. As our brain has millions of neurons that are connected, and these neurons help in transmitting or receiving a certain message. Similarly, deep neural network also works in the same manner. It has many layers which help in propagation of the message and ultimately it receives the required output. So if you see few of the points which are listed here are subset of machine learning. Machine uses different layers to learn from the data, mimics the network of neurons in a brain. It is based on artificial neural network. Now let us move ahead with the global data. Pandemic actually gave the scope for adapting deep learning in many of the businesses. So if you see now, global deep learning market data is growing at a CAGR of 23.6. In 2021, it was around 2,671.2 million. It is expected to reach around 11,910 million by the year end 2028. So you see there is a lot of scope and learning opportunity in this domain. So don't miss out this opportunity and take full benefit of this. Now, let's move ahead with the workflow. Deep learning actually has three different layers. They are input layer, hidden layer and the output layer. Input layer and the output layer are visible. And there comes the hidden layer. The name itself suggests hidden, means which is not visible. Now let us try to understand this through an example. Here is the representation of the layers. So you see input layer and the output layer. In between there is a hidden layer. So based on the hidden layer, we can classify into two types, that is shallow neural network and deep neural network. If there is only one hidden layer between input and output, it is part of shallow neural network. If there are many neural layers in between input and output, it is part of deep neural network. So the one which I'm presenting now is deep neural network. So these are the neurons and these neurons are connected through a channel. So input is fed to the input layer. Input layer multiplies with the weights and a value is summed up. This value is passed on to the next layer of the neuron. Along with the value, some bias is added. Then overall the value calculated is passed to an activation function. The activation function will decide whether to activate the neuron or not. Only the neurons which are activated will pass the signal or the message to next layer. Consider if this 1 and 3 is activated, only those messages will be passed to next layer. Likewise, the propagation happens till it reaches the output layer. So this kind of propagation in the network is known as forward propagation. So in the output which is desired and the output which is got now is compared together. And if there is slight difference, then the output layer tries to indicate it to the layer just behind it. Then this tries to adjust the bias. So This process of adjusting the bias in the reverse order is known as back propagation. So a continuous cycle of forward propagation and the back propagation will result in a very accurate model, and this process will happen iteratively so that the network learns in a very good manner. So this was all about the deep neural network workflow. Let us understand what are the algorithms which are part of this network. There are so many algorithms which are there in deep neural network, but today for this session I have listed only few of them. They are convolutional neural network, recurrent neural network, long short-term memory network, multi-layer perceptrons, that is MLPs. So these are the few algorithms that are there. So today we are not going to discuss more in detail about the algorithms, as we will be only focusing on the basic concept of deep learning. Now let us move ahead. Here comes merit. There are many advantages of using deep learning, out of which the first point indicates deep learning has better self-learning ability. So due to its learning ability on its own has helped us to adapt to deep learning. And deep learning actually is flexible for any new problem that is foreseen in the future, since the deep learning just requires the input and based on the neural layers it tries to analyze and reaches the output, so you don't have to or put a human effort in between. It all happens in the hidden layer. So that indicates here deep learning architecture is flexible to adapt to new problems. So any new problem in future, we can directly approach or take up the algorithms that are part of deep learning. No need to understand the best feature that represents the data. So unlike other algorithms where we had to provide the feature before it undergoes the algorithm and the next processes, here what happens, we don't have to give the feature. Here the neural network itself tries to learn on its own, and based on the forward propagation and backward propagation, due to this iterative process, the network learns and gets the accuracy. Focus on unstructured data. As you know, the world is full of huge amount of data, and labeling that data is highly impossible. So deep neural network work on this unstructured data, and this becomes the major advantage of using deep neural algorithms. Now let us move ahead with demerits. There are few demerits which I have listed here, out of which the first one is requires huge amount of quality data. Since the deep learning actually takes up to learn on its own, it requires huge amount of data, and since there is a lot of iterative process which is involved, so data required is also on a higher scale, and the data should be of a very good quality. Next is due to iterative process, like forward propagation and backward propagation happens continuously, we need a very high performance hardware like GPUs. Requires high performance hardware GPU. Computation time is very high. Since the process of iteration happens, the time consumed is also more, because of which it becomes the disadvantage point in deep learning. Now, let us move ahead with challenges that we might face by using these sort of algorithms. First one is lack of transparency in layer. If you see, there is a hidden layer, and these hidden layer can have multiple layers of neurons. And this hidden layer is very difficult or very tedious process to understand. So there lacks a transparency, and since the features are selected by the network on its own, so it becomes difficult for anyone to analyze. Next, processing units are costly. Since I told that we require GPUs which are on a higher scale, the cost of setting this up or the GPU is very high. And since these GPUs have to be active all the time so that the process is not stopped, it requires power, right? So that power consumption also becomes the major challenging for us to proceed. So these were few of the challenges which I could foresee by using deep learning. So if you have any questions or any suggestions, do comment in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching our video. I hope you could enjoy the video and also learn the concept of deep learning. If you're new to our channel, then consider subscribing to our channel and support us. Tune yourself to make a difference.